or is the Prime Minister simply kicking the can down the long grass?
Well, a bit of both, really. The thing is, we needed more time. We needed more time to bulk up our capacity. The kind of trade deal that she's talking about, insofar as you can really work out what it is that she wants, I'm not sure that she even knows, will still take years. I mean, look, Canada took 7 years. That's mostly on goods. We're a services economy. These things will take a long time. So the first thing to do was to buy yourself time. And people were advising the Prime Minister. That was the case about a year ago. It seems to have taken her this long to realise that it, in fact, is the case. At the very least, and I do mean the very least, because really we should have expected this a long time ago, at the very least we now have something approximating a realistic timetable. It won't be 2 years. I mean, it's going to take longer than that. Even the stuff she's putting forward today is completely unrealistic. But we're starting to see sort of glimmers of reality permeate Downing Street.
Katy, when Michel Barnier says that the Prime Minister has expressed a constructive spirit, that should be something that we're all applauding, shouldn't it?
Yeah, I think that's a good sign. I think what Theresa May has done today is set quite a positive tone for the talks. And actually, a lot of people will be wondering why she couldn't have done that, say, 6 months ago. We saw that her make some concessions or rephrase herself. In contrast to things she said before, there was no mention of citizens of nowhere. And I think overall people will like that because it puts the negotiations on a much more amicable note.
Ian, is the mantra that no deal is better than a bad deal? Is that finally dead in the water?
Yeah, I mean, we don't seem to be hearing anything about the no deal is better than a bad deal anymore. And the thing is, it can't be by virtue of what she's done today. I mean, if she feels that she needs to have this new period of 2 years, she calls it implementation. It's clearly not implementation. There's nothing there to implement. This is just an extension of the negotiating round. If you need that, it would therefore indicate that no deal would be a very, very bad idea indeed. She's right about that, of course. No deal would be absolutely catastrophic for Britain, a sort of unparalleled moment of national humiliation for us. So she's right to put it off, but it sort of shows just how empty all of that rhetoric that she used extensively during the general election actually was.
Katy, on the issue of trade, the Prime Minister has rejected the Canadian model, the Norway model. Could the Europeans now be accused, Theresa May, of saying that, well, you want a bespoke model, but that's effectively saying that you want your cake and you want to eat it?
Yeah, I think that they could definitely still accuse her of this. And we've heard many times Barnier say there's no cherry picking. Theresa May still is adamant that Britain can get a special deal. There's reason to think that is possible. I mean, Britain has a much closer relationship with the EU than Canada does. But at the same time, I think if she is trying to really make progress and break these talks into a new place, it does seem like she's saying something she did say like a few months ago.
Ian, what does a bespoke trade deal with the European Union look like for the United Kingdom?
Yeah, look, I mean, it might be possible. The thing is, at the moment, look, here's the thing, okay? This is the core question you have to answer all around Brexit. If you want to have frictionless trade with someone, the reason that you get to do that is because you have the same rules. Let's say you have different sort of standards of recycling on the packaging of food. The only way that you're not checking goods at the border is because you have agreed to those same rules. So we can have one of two things. We can have the frictionless trade with the Europeans. Theresa May says she wants that. Or we can have total independence in the way that we make laws. Theresa May also says she wants that. You cannot have the two things at once. Now, she has pretended for over a year now that you can have the two things at once. In the speech today, she again pretended you can have the two things at once. She can say this upside down. She can say it in a song. She can say it in a dance. It does not make sense. It cannot be done as a point of objective fact. So at some point, someone has to make a decision. What comes first? Is it independence? Or is it that we want frictionless trade? At the moment, nobody in the British government seems able to make that decision. That's why they're kicking the can down the road. We have to hope that at some point over the next few years, we'll find someone with the intellectual foresight and the confidence in their own abilities in order to make that call.
Ouch. Katy?
Yeah, I think at the moment Theresa May is trying not to have a split in her cabinet, and that's why we're seeing her kind of go on with this idea that you can have an in-between deal between the two options. I think actually, though, if you're looking at what she's leaning towards, I thought she was quite harsh about the EEA model and its restrictions, which is a blow to Philip Hammond. So it could be that she's edging more to what Boris Johnson wants, which is a Canada-type deal eventually.
Ian, if you break down Theresa May's audience today into groups, you've got the Parliament, you've got Cabinet, you've got the country at large, and you've got Europe, you've got the EU27, her counterparts in Europe. Which group, listening to Theresa May's speech today, would be the happiest, do you think?
That's an interesting question. It's quite hard to answer, actually. I mean, because really, when you kick the can down the road, you're not really giving it to one side or another. I mean, look, say that you're a leaver, okay? What happened today means that it's much more likely that Britain will leave in March 2019, Otherwise, if you don't have a transition deal in place, you're going to get up to, say, October 2018, the reality of the cliff edge will stare you in the face, and any government with even a trace of sanity would say, well, look, we're going to have to extend Article 50, and we'd have stayed in the EU as negotiations continued. So for leavers, you probably are going to get to leave in March 2019 in a way that wasn't necessarily the case this morning. But for Remainers, everything on the ground is going to stay basically the same until 2021. That gives you years more time to try to make the case that, fine, we might be legally out, but we can just shuffle our way back in. So it's not really that one side or the other, or Brussels or Parliament or this side of the cabinet table or the other, have really done that much better than they had before. It's just that the debate has been pushed back so that we're still going to be talking about this as we all become increasingly old and haggard.
Katy, I guess that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, this has been knocked over to where we are now in September, coming up into October. You get the sense that this could have been decided, this could have been talked about months ago.
I think that is the problem. I do think she could have given this speech 6 months ago. I don't think there was anything that new in it. I think the biggest concession is obviously the payments to Brussels during a transition period. So in a way, if there's one winner from this speech today, it's Brussels. I think both sides of the Conservative Party, they're not going to be particularly thrilled, but they're not going to be particularly upset. But that's just because not that much has been said.
Ian, Katy, many thanks indeed for sharing your thoughts with us.
You didn't frankly have the balls to put country before party.